To batch Bill.com API documentation. Start by understanding the basics of the Bill.com API and its documentation. The Bill.com API is a set of application programming interfaces that allows developers to access and manage financial data, such as invoices, payments, and vendors. The API documentation provides detailed information on how to use these interfaces, including code samples, parameters, and error handling. First, review the Bill.com API documentation to identify the endpoints and methods you need to use for your specific use case. Endpoints are the URLs that define the location of a resource, and methods are the HTTP actions that can be performed on that resource, such as get, post, or put. Next, choose a programming language and a tool or library to use for batching the API documentation. Popular choices include Python, Java, and Node.js, and tools like Postman or curl. You will also need to obtain an API key and authenticate with the Bill.com API to access the documentation. To batch the API documentation, you can use a technique called pagination, which involves breaking down large amounts of data into smaller, more manageable chunks. The Bill.com API supports pagination through the use of parameters such as limit and offset, which allow you to specify the number of records to return and the starting point for the next batch. For example, if you want to retrieve a list of all invoices, you can use the get invoices endpoint and specify a limit of 100 records per batch. You can then use the offset parameter to retrieve the next batch of 100 records, and so on. It is also important to handle errors and exceptions when batching the API documentation. The Bill.com API returns error codes and messages to help you diagnose and resolve issues, such as authentication errors or invalid parameters. Best practices for batching Bill.com API documentation include testing your code thoroughly, using logging and debugging tools to identify issues, and optimizing your code for performance and efficiency. You should also ensure that your code complies with the Bill.com API terms of service and usage guidelines. By following these steps and best practices, you can successfully batch Bill.com API documentation and integrate it into your application or system. This can help you automate financial tasks, streamline workflows, and improve overall efficiency and productivity.